ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शांति शांति शांति. Namaskar my dear friends. This is third video on the Approkshanubhuti, a Advaita Vedanta holy book by Adi Shankracharya. This is third video. I start with stanza number 81. Suksham tave sarv bhavanam स्थूलत्वं चोपनेत्रतः तद्वदात्मनि देहत्वं पश्यत ज्ञान योगतः. Just as all objects that are very small appear to be large when viewed through lenses, so does one, etc. Stanza 82. काच भूमौ जलत्वं वा जल भूमौ हि काचता तद्वद आत्मानि देहत्वं पश्यत ज्ञान योगतः. Just as a surface of glass is mistaken for water or vice versa, so does one, etc. Stanza 83. यदवदग्नौ मणित्वं हि मणो वा वहित्वापमान् तदा आत्मनि देहत्वं पश्यत ज्ञान योगतः. Just as a person imagines a jewel in fire or vice versa, so does one, etc. 84. अभर्मेषु सत्सु धावत्सु सोमो धावति भाति वै तद्वदा आत्मनि देहत्वं पश्यते ज्ञान योगतः. Just as when clouds move, the moon appears to be in motion, so does one, etc. 85. तथैव दिग्विजय प्रयासो मोहाद भवति कस्यचित् तद्वदात्मनि देहत्वं पश्यत ज्ञान योगतः. Just as a person through confusion loses all distinction between the different points of the compass, so does one, etc. 86. यथा शशि जले भाति चंचलत्वेन कस्यचित् तद्वदा आत्मनि देहत्वं पश्यते ज्ञान योगतः. Just as the moon, when reflected in water, appears to one as unsteady, so does one. Just as, etc. It is the reflection which is unsteady, not the moon. 87. एवं आत्मन्ये विद्यातो देहाध्यासो हि जायते स एवातं पृक्ष्य ज्ञानी लीयते च परात्मनि. Thus, through ignorance arises in Atman the delusion of the body, which again through self-realization disappears in the Supreme Atman. The delusion of the body, the delusion of matter in general, in fact matter is but a concoction of our mind and therefore has no real existence, which again disappears in the Supreme Atma when one realizes that Atman alone is and nothing else exists. Ignorance with all its effects such as the delusion of the body and the like ceases to exist forever. 88. सर्व आत्मतया ज्ञातं जगत् सथावर जंगमम् अभावात् सर्व भावना देहस्य च आत्मता कुतः. When the whole universe, movable and immovable, is known to be Atma, and thus the existence of everything else is negated, where is then any room to say that the body is Atma? Where is then any room, etc.? So long as a person is in ignorance, he confounds the body with Atma. But with the dawn of knowledge, when everything melts away and only the non-dual Atma remains, there is hardly any room for one to see the body at all, much less to declare it to be Atma. 89. Atmanam सत सततम जानन कालम ने महाद्युते प्रारब्ध अखिलम भुजंगनोद्वेगम कुर्तु महर्षि. O enlightened one, pass your time always contemplating on Atma while you are experiencing all the results of Prarabdha, for it ill becomes you to feel distress. Prarabdha, according to the karma theory, Prarabdha is that part of our past actions which through their cumulative force has given birth to this body. It will become you, etc. Because one who ever dwells on Atma is already free and above all sorrows, and though he lives and moves like ordinary mortals, he knows it for certain that none of his acts has any binding force upon him. There are two other sets of actions known as Sanchita Karma, or those of our past actions which are still reserved to give birth to future bodies, and Kriyamana, Kriyamana Karma, or actions that are being done in this life. Stanza 90. Utpanneta Atam Vigyane Prarabdam Navai Muchyati iti Yachayate Shastre Tannira Kriyate Dhana. The theory one hears of from the scripture that Prarabdha does not lose its hold upon one even after the origination of the knowledge of Atma is now by being refuted. From the scripture, from such scriptural text as the delay in his case is only so long as he is not released from the body, when he will attain to Brahma. Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6, 14.2. Prarabdha does not lose its hold, etc. The Shruti in many places has declared that even a Jnani is not free from the operation of Prarabdha. Shankara has dealt with this point at length in his commentaries on Chandogya Upanishad, Vedanta Sutras, and Gita. In all those places, he has supported the popular view that Prarabdha is binding on even the Jnani. But here, as well as in his Viveka Chudamani, he has boldly asserted the true Vedantic view without any compromise. He has clearly shown that to a Jnani there is no such thing as the body, and it is meaningless to say that he is any longer under the influence of Prarabdha, which has no hold upon the bodiless Atma. The author brings in his arguments in support of this view in stanza 91 and 92. तत्त्वज्ञानोदय प्रारब्धं नैव विद्यते देहादीनामस्त्वातु यथा स्वप्नो विबोधतः. After the origination of the knowledge of reality, Prarabdha verily ceases to exist inasmuch as the body and the like becomes non-existence, just as a dream does not exist on waking, inasmuch as the body, etc. The body, mind, intelligence, and the like have their existence only in ignorance, and therefore cannot exist when the latter is entirely destroyed by knowledge. In the absence of the body, Prarabdha also necessarily ceases to exist, since there remains nothing on which it can act. Stanza 92. Karam janmantriyam yat prarabdhamiti kirtitam tattu janmantar bhavat punso nivasti krihichitah. The karma which is done in a previous life is known as prarabdha with respect to this life which it has brought forth. But such a prarabdha does not exist for a man of knowledge as he has no other birth. Stanza 93. Sopandeho yatha dhay satattai vayam hi dehakah अभ्यसत से कुतो जन्म जन्मा भावे ही तत्कुतः. Just as the body in a dream is superimposed and therefore illusory, so is also this body. How could there be any birth of the superimposed body, and in the absence of birth of the body, where is the room for that prarabdha at all? So is also this body of the waking stage is also a superimposition on the Atma and is therefore unreal. Only an ignorant man thinks this body to be more real than the body assumed in a dream. But to a man of knowledge there exists no such distinction, inasmuch as both are but the creation of the mind through ignorance. In the absence of birth, prarabdha is imagined as the cause of the body, but when there is no such thing as the body, there is hardly any scope of prarabdha. Stanza 94. Upadanam parpanchasah nirdaya pandasevi kathyate ajnanam chaive vedantai sat asmini naste ki visvata. The Vedanta text declare ignorance to be verily the material cause of the phenomenal world, just as earth is of a jar. That ignorance being destroyed, where can the universe subsist? The Vedanta text declare, etc. The word Vedanta here means the Upanishads, which form the latter part of the Vedas. The text alluded to here are no Maya, ignorance to be the Prakriti, the material of the universe, Svetastvara, Upanishad, and so on. The ignorance being destroyed, etc. The cause being completely destroyed, the effect must cease to exist. A piece of cloth cannot exist when the threads are all burnt. So the world cannot continue when ignorance is destroyed. Stanza 95. Yatha rajjum pritajya सर्पे गृह्यति वै भ्रमात् तद्वत् सत्यम विज्ञाय जगत पश्यति मूढ़धि. Just as a person out of confusion perceives only the snake leaving aside the rope, so does an ignorant person see only the phenomenal world without knowing the reality. Stanza 96. रज्जुरूपे परिजाते सर्वखण्डमने तिष्ठति अधिष्ठाने तथा ज्ञाते प्रपञ्चः शून्यतां गतः. The real nature of the rope being known, the appearance of the snake no longer persists. So the substratum being known, the phenomenal world disappears completely. The substratum being known, etc. This illusory world has Brahma as its substratum, which is hidden from one's view on account of ignorance. But when one realizes this Brahma by removing ignorance, one is no more deluded into seeing the phenomenal world, which, like all other illusory things, vanishes completely before the knowledge of the truth. Stanza 97. Dehsyapi prapanchatvat prarabdhavasithiti kutah अज्ञानी जन बोधार्थ prarabdham vyakti vai sarvati. The body also being within the phenomenal world and therefore unreal. How could prarabdha exist? It is therefore for the understanding of the ignorant alone that the Shruti speaks of prarabdha. For the understanding of the ignorant, those who do not know the highest truth argue that if ignorance with all its effect is destroyed by knowledge, how does the body of a jnani live, and how is it possible for him to behave like ordinary mortals? They, however, fail to see that it is they who, being still in ignorance, see the body of a Jnani and speak of him as behaving this way or that, whereas the Jnani himself never sees the body at all, as he is ever established in Atma. To convince such persons, the Shruti brings in Prarabdha as a tentative explanation for the so-called behavior of a jnani. 98. Akshiyante chase karmani tasmin द्विष्टे प्रावरे बहुत्वं तन्निषेधार्थे श्रुता गीतं च यते स्फुटम्. And all the actions of a man perish when he realizes that Atma, which is both the higher and the lower. Here, the clear use of the plural by the Shruti is to negate Prarabdha as well, and all the actions, etc. The Shruti text runs as follows: the note of the heart breaks, all doubts vanish, and all his actions perish when a person realizes that which is both the higher and the lower. Mundagna Upanishad, chapter 2. Here the plural etc. the Shruti, by using the term actions, has very clearly declared that not only Sanchita and Karyamana karmas but also Prarabdha karma is destroyed by knowledge. The Gita also declares, O Arjuna, the fire of knowledge reduces all actions into ashes. Moreover, it also stands to reason that prarabdha, an effect of ignorance, must cease to exist when the latter is destroyed by knowledge. Stanza 99. Uchyate gaiballa tad danarthe tava agam vedant mathanam chayato jnanmiti shrutihi. If the ignorant still arbitrarily maintains this, they will not only involve themselves into two absurdities but will also run the risk of foregoing the Vedantic conclusion. So one should accept those Shrutis alone from which proceeds true knowledge, arbitrarily by sheer force of one's own predictions and not on the strength of sound reasoning. This, that is the possibility of prarabdha and its action even after knowledge, involve themselves into two absurdities. The upholders of Prarabdha are driven to this absurd position. In the first place, moksha or liberation from the bonds of duality will be impossible for them, as there will always remain a second thing, Prarabdha, along with Brahma, and in the second place, liberation, the sole aim of knowledge, being impossible, there will hardly remain any utility of knowledge, and in that case they have to give up the Shruti on which they build their theory as useless, since the Shruti has no other function but to lead to knowledge. Such are the disastrous consequences one has to encounter if one is to maintain Prarabdha to the end, run the risk of foregoing the Vedantic conclusion. The final conclusion of the Vedanta is that there is only one non-dual Brahma or Atma, which is birthless, deathless, and free from all modifications. The world of duality is the creation of ignorance and will cease to exist when the latter is destroyed by knowledge. So persons who maintain that prarabdha will remain even after knowledge and thus uphold a sort of duality even in the last stage surely sacrifice the ultimate Vedantic truth, which is essentially non-dual in its character. those Shrutis alone, etc. The realization of the non-dual Atma alone constitutes the real knowledge, and the Shrutis are the only means to such knowledge. But all of them do not bring about this knowledge, so those Shruti alone will which teach the non-dual Atma and thus directly lead us to the final realization are to be accepted as the real, and all others that support duality are to be treated as secondary, as they have no direct bearing upon the knowledge of truth. In connection with the main topic, it may be said that one should abide by those Shrutis alone which establish the non-dual Atma by denying all actions of it, and not by those that maintain Prarabdha and thus lend support to duality. Stanza number 100. त्रिपञ्चाग्नो यथो वक्षे पूर्वक्त से ही लब्धये तैश्चे सर्वे सदा कार्यम निधिध्यासनमेव तो. Now for the attainment of the aforesaid knowledge, I shall expound the 15 steps by the help of which one should practice profound meditation at all times. Now for the attainment, etc. Verses 24 to 28 have set forth in detail the nature of knowledge, which is the goal of life, but it is not sufficient only to know about the goal. One must acquaint oneself with the means of its attainment as well. The 15 steps here inculcated are the means which, if earnestly followed, will gradually lead the initiate to the desired goal. What is that desired goal? Liberation. Stanza number 101. Nitya अभ्यासा सद्वते प्राप्तिने भवेतु सच्चिदात्मनः तस्माद् ब्रह्म निधिध्यासने जिज्ञासु श्रेयसे चिरम्. The Atma, that is absolute existence and knowledge, cannot be realized without constant practice. So one seeking after knowledge should long meditate upon Brahma for the attainment of the desired goal. Should long meditate upon Brahma. The realization of Brahma does not come in a day. It requires years of strenuous effort. One should not therefore give up one's practice even if one meets with failure in the initial stages, but should continue it with renewed vigor. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, a bona fide cultivator never gives up his cultivation. Even if there is no crop for a few years, he continues to with ever increasing zeal till he reaps a good harvest. So should a true aspirant. Stanza number 102 and 103 together. Yamo hi niyam satyagो मौनम देशच्चे कालतः आसनम मूल बंधश्चे देह साम्यम च दृक्. Now 103. प्राण संयमनम चैव प्रत्याहारश्च धारणा आत्म ध्यानम समाधिश्च प्रोक्ता अंगानि वैकर्मात्. The steps 102 and 103. The steps in order are described as follows: the control of the senses, the control of the mind, renunciation, silence, space, time, posture, the restraining root, Moola Bandha, the equipoise of the body, the firmness of vision, the control of the vital forces, the withdrawal of the mind, concentration, self-contemplation, and complete absorption. These 15 steps include the 8 steps of Patanjali, but a reorientation of meaning as will be evident from the following. Stanza 104. Sarvam Brahmahiti Vijnana Adi Indriye Gram Sanyam Yamo Yamiti Samproktobhya Saniyoho Muhurmuhu The restraint of all the senses by means of such knowledge as all this is Brahma is rightly called Yama, which should be practiced again and again. Yama Patanjali describe it as non-killing, truthfulness, non-stealing, continence and non-receiving. But when one knows everything to be Brahma, all of these follow as a matter of course. Stanza number 105. सजातीय प्रवाहश्च विजातीय तिरस्कृतिः नियमो हि परानंदो नियमात् क्रियते बुद्धिः. The continuous flow of only one kind of thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts is called niyama, which is verily the supreme bliss and is regularly practiced by the wise. One kind of thought relating to the unity of the individual self with Brahma, such as this Atma is Brahma and I am Brahma. Niyama. According to Patanjali, Niyama is internal and external purification, contentment, mortification, Vedic study, and worship of God. These, however, are easily accessible to one who constantly dwells on Brahma. Stanza 106. त्याग है प्रपंच रूपस्य चिदा आत्म वावलोकनात् त्यागो ही महत्मां पूज्य है सद्यो मोक्षमयो यतः. The abandonment of the illusory universe by realizing it as the all-conscious Atma is the real renunciation honored by the great, since it is of the nature of immediate liberation. The real renunciation, some explain renunciation as the giving up of all kinds of actions, whether scriptural or mundane, and thus attaining to a state of inactivity. This, however, is far from what is really meant by renunciation, which in its deepest sense is all positive. It is when one realizes Atma everywhere and thus commits nothing that one is said to have real renunciation. The Shruti also declares clothe everything in the transitory world with God and thus maintain thyself by that renunciation, etc. Stanza 107. Yasmadvacho nivartante aprapye mansa saha यन्मौनं योगिभिर्गम्य तद्भवेत् सर्वदा बुद्धः. The wise should always be one with that silence wherefrom words together with the mind turn back without reaching it, but which is attainable by the yogin. That silence here it denotes Atma which is ever quiescent, wherefrom etc. is a reference to the Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 2, stanza 9, attainable by the yogin, because it is their very self. Stanza number 108. Vaso yasmani vartante tad vaktum kena shakyate prapancho yadi vaktavya so api samad vivarjita. Stanza number 109. Iti va tad bheve monam satam sahaj sanjitam gira monam tu balanam paryuktam brahmavadibhi. Who can describe that? That is Brahma, whence words turn away. So silence is inevitable while describing Brahma. Or if the phenomenal world were to be described, even that is beyond words. This, to give an alternate definition, may also be termed silence, known among the sages as congenital. The observance of silence by restraining speech, on the other hand, is ordained by the teachers of Brahma for the ignorant, even that is beyond words. Even this world, when one attempts to describe is found to be inexpressible since it cannot be called either Sat existence or Asat non-existent. If it were Sat is Sat, it would not disappear in deep sleep, and if Asat, it would not at all appear now. Therefore, this world is also Anirvachaniya, inexpressible. This the inexpressibility of Brahma and the world, congenital, inseparable from Atma. Stanza number 110. आदावन्ते च मध्ये च जनो यस्मिन्ने विद्यते येनेदं सतं व्याप्तं स देशो विजने स्मृतः. That solitude is known as space wherein the universe does not exist in the beginning and or middle, but whereby it is pervaded at all times. That solitude here it is Brahma that is indicated for. Brahma alone is solitary since it admits of no second at any time. Stanza 111. कलनात् सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्मादीनां निमेषतः काल शब्देन निर्दिष्टो हवैखण्डाना कोदवः. The non-dual Brahma, that is bliss indivisible, is denoted by the word time, since it brings into existence in the twinkling of an eye. All brings into existence in the twinkling of an eye. All beings from Brahma downwards. It brings into existence, etc. The whole creation is nothing but a resolve in the mind of God. When He has a desire for creation, the universe is produced in no time. A parallel case we find in our dream when the whole dream world is brought into being in an instant by a mere wish. Not only the power of creation but also that of preservation and destruction is also meant. Stanza number 112. Sukh naive भवेद्यस्मञ्जस्रं ब्रह्मचिन्तनम् आसनं तद्विजानीयते तृप्तसुखनाशनम्. One should know that to be real posture in which the meditation of Brahma flows continuously and unceasingly, and not any other that destroys one's happiness, that etc. That is a serene state of the constitution, not any other etc. Not any posture which brings about physical pains and thus distracts the mind from the meditation and Brahma by dragging it down to the lower plane. 113. Siddham yat sarvabhutadi viswadhiyasthanam vayam yasmin siddha samadhishtastavi siddhasanam viduhu. That which is well known as the origin of all beings and the sport of the whole universe, which is immutable and in which the enlightened are completely merged, that alone is known as Siddhasana. Siddhasana, this is the name of a particular yogic posture, but here it only means the eternal Brahma. Incidentally, two particular postures known to the yogis are mentioned in this and the next verse and explained with reference to Brahma. Stanza 114. Yanmulam sarvabhutanam yanmulam chit bandhanam. मूल बंध है सदा सेव्यो योग्य सौ राजयोगी नाम. That Brahma which is the root of all existence on which the restraint of the mind is based is called the restraining root Mula Bandha, which should always be adopted since it is fit for Raj Yogin. The restraint of the mind etc. It is through complete emergence in Brahma that the mind is truly restrained. Mula Bandha, this is also the name of another yogic posture. The truth underlying all this is that while seated for meditation, one should not bother much about the postures, but always try to engage one's whole attention to the meditation of Dharma, which alone constitutes the goal. So I end this video here, and the next and the final video will start from stanza number 115. So thank you my dear friends for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Dear friends, I request you to share these videos to maximum people. My main aim is to spread the knowledge of our sages to maximum people, because nowadays people under the influence of Western culture, they are forgetting day by day the Sanatana Dharma. So that is not good, or not good at all. So thanks a lot my dear friends. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.